Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to the Virgo channel. My name is Laura. If you're new to the channel, I'm going to do a general message for Virgo. Know that energy is fluid, roles could be reversed. Interpret the message as it best resonates with you. Also, know on this channel, I like to dive deep within the reading, so I do look at everything, but we take time to look at the spiritual blocks, the shadows, see how they play it as karmic themes. This will allow you to understand why everything's playing out the way that it is. That's important when you're dealing with people that have a lot of spiritual blocks. They get in their own way. And, their reality is not the actual reality that's happening. That's what happens when we have trauma. It distorts our perceptions about ourselves and the world around us. And then the person's behaviorisms and habits, or if it's us that went through that trauma, our habits and behaviorisms are in alignment with what our perception is, but our perception is distorted. There's many different realities that play in at one time. A person's level of consciousness depends on their core beliefs, and their core beliefs were created from the families that they were brought up in, the environments that they grew up in, a lot of outside factors. That's the thing. So not until we integrate the spiritual lesson can we quantum jump into the reality that we want to experience. Again, because there's many different realities that play it at one time. So when you meet a past life karmic mate, can you be with this person? You you're not in charge of whether or not that person is going to surrender their ego. That person's in charge. However, it's your thoughts, it's your actions, it's how you contributed to the dynamic of the connection. Now, again, if the person's not ready to evolve, you can't make that person. But they always have an opportunity. That's why it's karmic, and that's again means learn. Now, when you don't when a person doesn't want to step up into the higher level of consciousness to step into a better version of themselves, and you entertain that, then you wind up inheriting the negative karmic consequences. So you don't always have to inherit the negative karmic consequences from dealing with a person that won't step it up, meaning they won't raise their vibration. Because again, there's many different realities that play out at one time. So, I mean, you can go through the spiritual lesson, not inherit any of the negative karma, and then attract someone that's more in alignment with who you are. See, integrating the spiritual lesson means just that. It means a lot of times going back to a similar karmic theme, maybe not with the same person, because karmic themes tend to keep playing out, and then having an opportunity to deal with that situation differently. That's why a lot of times we see the same, all the time, actually, you see the same karmic theme playing out until you learn it. That's what creates the core belief, why a person believes that they can't have love, why a person believes certain things, is because that's been their experience, that has been their reality. They are not awake to seeing how they contributed to that. So again, we look at the shadows, we look at the karmic themes, because you might not have a lot of the same spiritual blocks, but if that person's in your life that keeps getting in their own way and chooses not to raise their vibration, we need to understand why. Why is that person coming into your life? Again, relationships are the way that the universe grows the soul, makes us look at ourselves to see what needs to be healed, what needs to be integrated, what do we need to look at. Sometimes it's just suppressed energy that has affected us, but we never really looked at. We learn to survive, and we survive by detachment, disassociation. So we know what might have happened, but we forget aspects of what happened, and we don't realize how those aspects are affecting us. So again, we do the deep dive on this channel. And that's important if you're dealing with someone for a few years and you're dealing with like a soulmate, a karmic mate, you're dealing with a twin flame, you're dealing with a relationship that it's like going on 6 years, going on 7 years, it's going on 8 years, going on 15 years. You know what I mean? It's like that person like is your soul mate, but then certain aspects of the relationship aren't working, and you're tired of the fact that it's not working. Now, I don't know why I'm channeling this. It could be that, again, Virgo, you're connected to someone for a few years now, that you're actually getting tired of being connected to this person. And I actually feel like the person that's connected to you is also tired. They're like, it's either going to work or it's not going to work. I'm tired of this psychic cord where nothing is actually manifesting. Now, I don't know, I just channeled that, but you know how it works on this channel. Spirit always gives me a nugget before we pull any cards. And then it winds up filling in, because that's the way that psychic energy is, right? All right, now if you want to enter into winning a free reading with me, you got to like the video, subscribe to the channel, write the word of the video in your comment bar. The word of the video is always on the first card that I pull out, and it's the underlining energy that tells me why everyone's doing what they're doing. And really important when you're dealing with people that, have sabotaging behaviors that are triggering us, right? And again, we want to know why. All right, so the word of the video is anger, anger. Well, I feel like you are connected to someone that is angry because they feel powerless and they don't really like to feel powerless. This person knows that they neglected you and now they see that you're neglecting them. And it's all because they were stubborn, and they know that they were stubborn, and they feel bad that they were stubborn because they know at the end of the day, what it comes down to is that they abandoned you. But there's a sense that they're like, they know what they did to you, but they almost feel like, you should know what I'm going through right now. You shouldn't be abandoning me. You should be there for me. They're looking again at the connection through their perception. And their perception is like, you're forcing them. You're forcing them to regret their behavior. But worse is that this person took so long to look at how they treated you, that they know that you're in a place of like disgust because of the disrespect, all because they avoided you because they didn't want to be blamed. This person has a lot of pride, and they're used to only caring about themselves. This is their energy, you know. But we're not going to see like happy triggers here. Just so that this person was all about themselves. And I feel like it's not so much what they did, it's how they did it. It's like this person undervalued the connection, but I didn't even feel like it was like it's like this person just disrespected you. They deliberately disrespected you. They held back from you. They disregarded the connection as if it didn't mean anything. It was all about themselves. So if they treated you bad and you said, hey, listen, I really don't like it when you treat me, they didn't care. They didn't care. They never showed up for you. You felt ignored. And then when you would say something, well, then you were the bad guy. They twisted it around because you're just supposed to tolerate what they're giving you. And you got tired of the mask because you're like, I see that you're a narcissist. Yeah, sure. From the outside, you pretend something. And even to me, you pretended that you were something. You pretended that you were a nice guy. You pretended that you were someone that cared about your reputation, that you were a stand-up guy or girl, that um, that you cared about me, that this was a soul connection, that you were going to honor this connection, and, or just the minimum, treat me like a friend. Like you didn't want to treat me like anything, that all it was resistance. Virgo, this is how you felt. You were like, it was resistance. Well, resistance creates intimacy blocks. This person didn't want to get close. And I feel like they're someone that if they get close, they tend to lose themselves in the relationship, not because it's even something that they want all the time, is that this person's emotionally doesn't get what they need from themselves. It doesn't mean that they don't try. They get it counterfeit, like because we all need love and we'll all go and try and get it through outside things. So it doesn't mean that they don't haven't hooked up with other people. They have. Why do you think you're mad? You're like the disrespect in the connection. You would rather hang out with people that you don't even have an emotional connection to instead of building an emotional connection to me. It's like, yes, because in that, this person becomes vulnerable. So the mask is that it's like, yeah, you want me to think that we have this soul connection, but you don't want to treat me like that. You want to pretend that you're a good person, but you're not a good person because instead of getting to know me, the person that I know that you have feelings for, you're going to hook up with one night stands and never talk to any of those people ever again. You're going to lie to them. You're going to lie to them. And then you act like you're doing me a favor because you're not being with me on a one night stand, but you're avoiding me altogether. This is how you feel, Virgo. And like you say something and this person doesn't want to hear it. It's like you're seen as the bad guy and then they ignore you. Because it's like what you're saying to them, they know is true. They know that it's true, and it comes down to they don't want to be judged. But they have no problem judging you about how you're telling it to them. See, they'll get lost in you didn't sugarcoat that. It's like what you said to me hurt my feelings. It's almost like they don't pay attention to how they are to you, but they're very hyper aware of what you're going to do to them in retaliation because what they know is that they haven't treated you well. So again, it's easier to ignore. They know that again, they ruin this connection where it comes to the purity. When you meet that person, that's a soul's connection. The person feels like home. You feel like home. It's like, and that's what this connection was. It was pure. There was a sense of wanting to get to know, a desire to get to know. It was because of just unconditional love. Just that there was no reason. You didn't want anything in return from this person. You just wanted them to be transparent with you. You wanted to build even like just a friendship, like an intimate connection. This person refused to give it to you because they know that you wouldn't look at them as perfect anymore. This person holds a lot of shame. They have a very hard time with, just being by themselves. So it's always like they're looking for the next fix. It's almost like this person continually gets themselves in trouble to like entertain, to run from themselves. That's what you see here. I'm just throwing them everywhere. This person had expectations of you, you had expectations of them. Because again, there was a soul connection. So you expected this person to care about your feelings, to not like be so stubborn and like disregard what you're telling them and then avoid you. And then be like, well, I don't know how to handle it. And now you also are making me feel bad. It's like you don't want to be judged. You don't want to be judged, but you don't have a problem judging me. That there's a sense like this person has a hard time asking for forgiveness, almost like they grew up in an environment where that you didn't ask for forgiveness. It's like forgiveness was not granted. Or you could say, okay, I forgive you, but then the behavior of holding a grudge was still there. So it's almost like this person has armor on where they're like, I'm never going to show any vulnerability and asking for forgiveness is just out of the question. So what happened here is that I feel like this person got caught up in wanting to be right and wanting to like have things their way regardless of how unfair, because again, they just should have it that way. And they had expectations of you, and possibly just because you had feelings for them, that you treated them with unconditional love. They didn't have to work for it. You gave them a little too much time, a little too much energy. You showed that you cared too much about this person. And that alone will trigger a person that has a lot of spiritual issues. And someone that that is afraid to ask for forgiveness, well, they're terrified of being vulnerable. They're also not going to be transparent. So you're always going to feel that they're secretive. And the thing is, they're out of balance because emotionally, they're not really allowing anyone in. However, they still need that emotional support. So they're going to get it through outside resources, one that where they can take, but they're not going to give anything in return. And they're actually thinking they're doing right by you because they're like, well, I'm not using you, I'm not disposing you of you, but we have this connection. So it's like you're like, okay, so you're going to hold on to me while you do that. It's like that doesn't make any sense because you're not giving me anything. Well, it's a way that they hold dominance over you or control. You can't hurt them. Only they're hurting themselves. They're making like creating a self-fulfilling prophecy without realizing it, right? Because they're focused on not getting hurt. But in that they're going to hurt themselves because they're doing all that believing that they can't have love, where it's just about forgiveness, being vulnerable, that no one's perfect. That you getting a person that's a soulmate, that there is this unconditional love, this energetic core, because there are spiritual lessons that need to be learned. And those spiritual lessons are terrifying for a grown man, a grown woman to have to go back into because they've already seen it's when I'm vulnerable, I get hurt. When I'm vulnerable, I'm made a fool of. When I'm vulnerable, so I have to create this persona. I have to show like I don't care. I have to have this exterior. I have to, but what it does is it makes the person feel not respected, like ignored, which is usually a wound that they grew up with. I didn't get the emotional support to begin with, and I'm still looking for it outside of me. I only say because, again, remember, you're a mirror of whom what comes into your life. There are spiritual lessons that need to be learned from both parties. You're not getting a soulmate, past karmic mate, twin flame, but that's one-sided. That one person learns all their lessons, and the other person's like, oh, great, it was just a shitty connection. No, you're supposed to learn. You're both supposed to learn. You're both supposed to help each other. It's the unconditional love that makes us continue to return back because we look for that energy in other people and we can't find it. It's like though, and there's a sense of I miss, but it takes a long time for the ego to surrender. Because again, they want to be seen as perfect. Perfect when a person has shame. They want to be seen as perfect. There's no such thing as perfect. Only God is perfect. The universe is perfect. Sacred geometry is perfect, even though we may see that sacred geometry in plants and other things doesn't look perfect, but everything's in divine order. So everything actually is perfect. You're perfect. When a person feels that they need to be perfect or need to create the perfect environment in order for them to see themselves a certain way, but they're not coming from a balanced perception. They're going to overcompensate. And then in the overcompensation, they're going to undercompensate in how much they give you. It's a balance issue from a lack of an individuality. Who a person perceives that they are. This person doesn't perceive that they're anything except for through their shadows. However, they're not showing you that. They've created the persona. Like, I don't care, and that's not real because what you feel and what you see are two different things. And this person knows it too, because look at that face. They don't look like they're stable. They look like they're afraid. And that's what happens when we feel like we need to create a persona. It's like, oh, I don't like the way that this looks. I'm only making like $100 a week, but I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna pretend that I make so much more money. That's this person. And so how would they do it? Well, again, they would create the persona like, well, I'm not wearing any jewelry, but normally I am wearing jewelry. So like just okay, look, you see the big diamond? Do you see the ring? Well, imagine that it's 10 times bigger. And what they do is they'll wave that around. They take a wad of cash out of their pocket to make sure that you see it. So that it's like, meanwhile, for all you know, it's like they took that money from work and they were supposed to deposit it at work. I mean, at the bank. But they never got to the bank. But they're carrying it around like it's their money to give the facade. And that's what the mask will do. The mask will overcompensate because it's, the person's trying to emulate. But people that really have money, people that have money usually act cheap, okay? That, they ain't flaunting their money, I'll tell you that. It's like my husband had money and it wasn't like he was cheap, but he liked a good deal. That's why they have money. So again, the overcompensation, which is it doesn't feel genuine. And that's what it felt like when you were with this person, because it wasn't. And that's because of their lack. So the overcompensation and then the undercompensation, like I'm going to give you less in hopes that you don't know your worth because, hey, I think that you don't know your worth because you're actually giving to me when, I'm not really giving enough. Now, it doesn't mean that this person didn't have feelings, but it's almost like people are a pawn and they're maneuvered around how this person feels and they're imbalanced. So it doesn't mean that they don't have feelings, but what that's going to look like is one day they're going to give you a lot of attention, the next day that they're going to ignore you. Then 2 weeks go by, you don't hear from them at all. And then you'll see them start talking to somebody else or giving somebody else attention and then wander their way back to you. And it's all because there is a lack. And the lack is not just within money. You'll see if there's a lack of identity, of knowing who they are, that could have created a lot of masks and personas. Like they may look like they have a lot of options and choices, okay? But none of those options or choices are good at the end of the day because none of them hold anything emotional or true. It's all counterfeit, right? So this person knows down deep inside that there's nothing really there, not just relationship wise, but I feel like identity wise. And cutting themselves off from love to like instead to create a persona so other people perceive them a certain way, is lonely, leads to a life of loneliness, which you think that you can live. And I believe that this person believes like I can live this way, like have that persona. And that over time is realizing I can't live this way. And it's like you can't because love is the energy of the universe. And that's the energy of God. That's your and every single other person on the planet's natural state. It's like when we're in this energy vibration of love. So we don't want to be cut off from it. We can't cut ourselves off from it. But again, this person sees what's truly important is not the stuff, it's the emotional connection. Because again, until they heal it, they will always be in a place of lack. They'll never be able to manifest anything for long periods of time. If anything, what they're giving to is something that's draining their life force because it's temporary. It's not meant to, it's like going shopping to like raise your energy. You can do that only so much, but it's not going to be sustaining. Like you won't be able to sustain doing that for long periods of time. And what you'll see is eventually the stuff isn't even going to like bring you that much fulfillment because there's a lack, and the lack has to do with this person and why they can't be vulnerable and you can't be like ask for forgiveness and you created all this nonsense in having to be right, where it's like this person had to look at themselves twice. And what did we see here? Like perfection is, and we got two of the same card. So we know that that person's really in their ego. It's like, I'm not going to surrender my ego, which is part of the process when it comes to healing. A person doesn't even know that there's a problem. The problem is the fact that you're in separation. The problem is that you had expectations that this person was going to do the right thing, and they had expectations of what they thought that you were going to do. Now, again, I think that what they thought you were going to do was really imbalanced and based on their imagination and based on past experiences with other people, and that's what they're seeing. And this person's having money issues. I also feel like this person's holding back from you because they don't really feel like they have enough to offer. And if they come to you, then they break the illusion of what's really there. And like I said, this person has to come to a place where they're willing to like surrender their ego and really show you exactly who they are and let you in. It's everything that they avoid to do. It's everything that they have been afraid to do. And not because of you, but I believe that the connection that they have with you brings out the lack that they feel within themselves. Because they have expectations of themselves that are not really realistic. And that's because when a person is coming from a place of lack, they don't know who they are. So they'll always try to emulate, they'll always try and create from the outside in, but nothing will last. And over time, they become more and more diminished because nothing's built on truth. Only things that are built from unconditional love. So what we see here is, again, the money issues because of the feelings of lack. People will also try to fill themselves through like buying themselves, buying a lot of things and, eating anything that's going to, suppress that emotion. They have love blocks. And the love block is all because of their feeling of lack. So what we see is that they keep getting in their own way. And what it looks like is, oh, you're not like asking for forgiveness. Well, part of them is like, if anything, they're a little delusional because they have had expectations that you would come back based on like the facade of what things look like a little bit. So, which that's not love, but that's what they're used to, right? People coming back and being like, oh, it's okay because of what things look like. And now this person can't really create the illusions that they used to because they're actually having money problems. And that would disrupt the whole like image that they're trying to perceive. So again, if they don't come across perfect, that you're not really going to have like true feelings for them because of what they did. But that's because of their love blocks. It's like, so what they're doing is not going to make sense at all to you because what we see is that they entered into this connection with love blocks. And that's because they're not coming from their true sense of self. Like again, when we're accepting of ourselves, it's not that everyone in the world just says, oh, I love everything about myself. It's not like you're even going to say, I love everything about myself. No, there's things that everyone can work on. This person, like, doesn't like who they are because they don't know who they are. That is why people, if they took the time to get to know who they are, they would like who they are. But this person doesn't like who they are because they try to emulate like into a person instead of become a person. They're trying to create the facade, the illusion that they're better than they are. And that comes from childhood trauma. That comes from growing up in an environment where there was lack, there was poverty, there was again other things that made this person feel less than, not good enough. Root chakra problems is not just financial problems. There's marriage problems, so they're watching the parents not get along. There's a bully parent usually, or parent that's miserable, that projects a lot of their anger and resentment onto the child, so they feel inadequate right from the get-go. And then they go out into the world and they navigate their relationships through, again, what they want, through trying to not emotionally have a connection. And with you, they had an emotional connection. Okay? So giving you time and having this emotional connection, well, again, then that's what they need to do to actually integrate love blocks, because their perception of what love is distorted due to the experiences that they went through, the experiences that they grew up in. So that's the thing. They'll always have love blocks. I still read our texts and think about you a lot. So again, with that energy that you're like, I still feel them holding. Yeah, because they haven't learned the spiritual lesson. Until you integrate the spiritual lesson, you're not going to just let go of the energy. It doesn't work that way. The more time that this person actually reads your text and thinks about you, the more energy that is going to grow. Because now that you removed yourself, there is no expectation. And this person has unconditional love for you. They're afraid to get to that place of unconditional love because they see it as having to surrender. They have to see it as being weak. But they can't control love. I mean, that's the issue. Now look at this, money blocks, issues, honesty, secrets. And that's the biggest thing with love blocks, when people have secrets and they're not going to be transparent. And you think that you're dating one person and they're really somebody else, that they know that something's wrong. They don't know how to fix it. So they're trying to fix it from the outside in. And in that they create the persona. I can't admit how deep my feelings are for you. Yeah, because then it's like they would have to surrender. That's the issue. That's the issue. They want to be in a relationship that they don't have to do that they don't have to be vulnerable, that they're scared. So you have to say, well, are they gonna do anything on a spiritual level? Is there anything that a bigger significance to the connection? We could always ask. Or what do they truly feel? Or is there any other information? We'll only pull 3 more cards for about that. But then it's all about, why did you attract a person like this into your life that emotionally chooses to not connect to you, even though there is a real connection there, but run around with insignificant people? What did you need to learn? Why would you need to manifest that experience? Why would you make that part of your movie, per se? Because that's what they say, like, this is your movie. And we're just going to pull 3. When I let myself go deeper into thought of you, I can feel my heart opening. That terrifies this person. Again, it's a very strong spiritual connection, makes them be vulnerable. I daydream about you. Sometimes it's sexual. Other times I visualize our future together. So again, this person feels very comfortable with keeping the connection in the mind, right? ESP, through the heart and mind. We know that this is a past life connection. And so they do play with that idea, but there's a safety in them keeping it in the imagination realm, in the 5D, and that's instead of the 3D. They need to like ground the experience. But people that have detachment and disassociation disorder, that are so terrified to create intimacy, well, like I said, there's a comfortability in the fact of, I can think of you. I can think of you and I feel your energy. And that's unconditional love. This is the most unconditional love that this person has ever felt. And there is almost a sense of, I don't want to ruin that. And I can keep it in that 3D. And eventually, when I'm ready, but they don't realize again that they're feeding the connection. So this is why you're like, I feel this person's energy on me all the time, but they don't do anything. Yeah, because they're holding on to a cognitive dissonance. They want it, but they don't. So it's almost like, going 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, two steps forward, 2 steps back. So the person never makes any progress. And then what are they doing? Well, they're running around to other people and, getting fed. And so they also know that, again, one of you are angry. So again, they know that you're angry. And so there's like an energetic match and frequency with the other. So where it's almost like the more this person sabotages the connection by running around with insignificant people and not and continues to ignore you like they're ruining the connection. They know again that they need to like elevate the connection if they want this connection to stay um to grow. So there's a part of this person that wants it but doesn't, and it's so they're holding it in their mind, but they're not doing anything about it. Almost feeling like, well, the universe is going to do that, not realizing that they are sabotaging the connection because there is passion there. There is a desire there, but this person is not going to surrender and they can feel your anger about it. So it's almost like because you are not going to budge and they know that you're not going to budge, you hold to a standard, they're not going to give you anything because of that. Because they want to do what they want to do and then figure it out as they go. So this connection would make this person be accountable, and emotionally over time they know that they would give into it, and there's a part of them that's like, nope, don't want to give into it. And I feel like it's from a past relationship, what they saw, again, whatever traumas that they've experienced where they had no power over themselves. So there's a sense of like, nope, I'm not going to do that, because I also know how I am. This is this person. Like I might want to cheat. I might want to run around. There's consequences and every single time. And I don't want to deal with those consequences. I want to do what I want to do. But there is passion there. But because you're gonna hold to a standard, they're like, no, I'm not gonna do it. But I'm still holding on to your energy, which is really frustrating. So it's about you, number one, these are your inner child cards. And when we say, why did you attract this person into your life? What would you need to learn? And card number one, self-love. Obviously, if the person's not giving you anything that would make you feel like, well, I'm not loved. Like this person is making me feel like I'm not good enough. It's their issue. But because they're connected to you, they're making you feel as if it's you, because they want you to give all the work. They want you to lower your standards. You're not doing that. So they're not coming towards you. But again, do they have attitude? Yeah. So Spirit says it's about you giving yourself love, because then eventually you're going to attract people and situations and experiences into your life that are going to bring your energy up. It's like you can't fight this energy with being angry. Martin Luther King taught us that, right? You can't fight like negative with negative. So you raise your vibration, and that's by giving yourself self-love, pouring into yourself, joining things, finding yourself. And in that, you will meet different people. The universe always says, don't you think that I know what you want? I know what you want more than you know what you want. So the lack of support, the lack of belief, the lack of disconnect to the physical body, the physical world, all physical elements of the physical world is the issue. So then there is a second chakra imbalance where you're going to give too much to the wrong person. And that's why this person got comfortable. That's why this person thought, actually entertain this, because they were so sure that you were going to act a certain way. That's not what happened. It's like, again, they have distorted perception about what love is due to the experiences that they lived. That has nothing to do with you. And if you're giving yourself self-love, you definitely are seeing that. You definitely can tell, like when someone's giving you breadcrumbs and when someone's like actually pouring into you, you definitely feel more emotionally satisfied. This person, there was a lack. It's about finding your own like groove, I would say, right? Dance when we're like we have to find our rhythm. Well, it's about going with the flow of life. It's about living your bliss. It's not about moving you. It's about finding your passion. Where this person like would make it all about them. They don't feed themselves anything, and certainly wouldn't give you anything. It would be all about them and you and taking your joy away. And I think of dance, that's what I think about, where it's of just finding your own groove in life. And so if you were raised by a parent that said, no, don't do it that way, do it this way. Or I believe that you should, do it this way. Or maybe you were terrified and you had to, or even if you were just persuaded or guilted or emotionally manipulated. This isn't about giving anybody else the time, especially someone like that. That would be how you self-sabotage yourself. Like you're creating a new life. Like this energy is that. If we have self-sabotage, well, let me tell you too, that means that you also grew up in an environment where you were made to feel inadequate. And that a lot of times has nothing to do with the parent. Sometimes it's the way that we perceive ourselves because our parent wants certain things for us and they, are seeing things through their perception. So they're projecting a lot of what their own experiences were and then they try to do the best thing. That's why the universe only looks at intention. So a lot of times the intention is good. However, the child feels, oh, I'm inadequate. It's like self-sabotage is that when we tend to try to please other people instead of ourselves. It's like when we take our energy off what we're doing and, putting it on to somebody else that's not giving in return, that doesn't have self-sabotage is when we get in our own way. And that would happen if you didn't give yourself enough self-love. And you only know that when you're going with the flow of life, when you're have joy and passion in your life. Otherwise, you can't really tell whether a person is a real soulmate or life partner or whether they're just a karmic mate. Suppression. So again, growing up in an environment where your own unique individuality was suppressed. So you might have been like, I want to be an actress. And your parents said, no, you'll go to college. You might have said, I want to be a hairdresser. No, you'll go to college. You'll do this. You'll do that. It's a lot of times the intention was good, but there was still suppression. And that suppression is suppression of self. And when we do that, we abandon ourselves and we self-sabotage ourselves. A lot of times we grew up in an environment where we had to go with the flow of what was going on in the environment. We were dependent on the people in our environment to give us that support, to give us the love. Where Spirit says, now it's all about you giving yourself that self-love and creating the support for you through, again, things that you find passionate about, and you again have to find that they were suppressed. If you're connected to this person, again, this is how you would self-sabotage yourself because they're selfish. They don't have any intention. Their way is to hold back from you, saying, yeah, I have feelings and I'm pretty sure you're going to keep me because I'm going to be a spoiled brat and not give anything. So it's really immature energy. And I think that over time, that, if you were giving yourself self-love, you would be like, I don't want to be connected to someone that's so bitter and so angry that they need to have their heart shut off to the point that they're hooking up with random people that they don't have to have any emotional concern about. So they dispose of them, use them for what they can use them for, and just dispose of them because they're miserable. Disassociation. And that tells me again that you didn't emotionally get what you needed growing up. So it's like, yeah, do you remember? Yeah, but you don't have a feeling about it one way or the other. You're used of being with people that emotionally don't give to you. You're used of that part not really working because of this energy. And the spirit says, as long as you have that energy, you'll self-sabotage yourself. In order to heal that energy of disassociation, you have to give yourself self-love. You have to embody that consciousness because then the universe will conspire to bring you people, situations, experiences that heal your heart and your mind, will allow you to see things differently. Otherwise, like I said, you stay bound to that negative energy, which will suppress your own flow, right? Suppress your own flow, suppress your energy because this person would be sucking it out of you. That's why. So being brought up in an environment where you were made to feel it, to give, to give, to give, to give, to give, to please, to please, to please, to please, but you didn't emotionally get anything back. And so remember, it's always the child self that looks, that that remembers. Rather, it's like it doesn't necessarily mean that now if you would go through the experience that you would feel the same way, but that has created an imprint on you. So it's again on the bottom of the deck, it's goodness. This was flipped over, so it's again, when we get these experiences, it's all about refining your own character, overcoming difficulties by remaining positive, that you can like calm your heart and illuminate your intellect to transform shadow into light, that you consciously manifest goodness in and around yourself, improve the qualities and the benefits of all by healing yourself, by knowing your goodness, get connecting to this person. This person wanted you to not know your worth. They were hoping that you didn't know your worth. You do know your worth. So that's why this person's not giving you anything. And they're like, okay, I'm just going to stay energetically connected to you. But you better believe that they're not happy about it because they were so sure. But no, you wouldn't attract this person unless you knew really, like if you knew your goodness, you wouldn't have entertained in that at all. And then Spirit saying life is all about taking one step at a time, to see the mountain ahead and dedicate yourself to just taking one small step at a time, to make progress by staying focused on the present moment, the current task, that you regain ease of living. So it's like returning to your life and not having expectations of what things need to look like. Allow things to just unfold and to be in the moment. But which that sounds easy, but if you have been traumatized and you have trauma that needs to be healed, it's not easy. We all go in and out of consciousness. We all want to have relationships. You can be in a relationship but be in the moment, set boundaries. This is all about not losing yourself and still creating yourself, because again, you're being asked to, you know, to find your flow again by giving yourself self-love, by again integrating the parts of self. But that doesn't mean not having a relationship. It just means like everything's balanced and that you don't focus on the past. You focus on the now. And again, it's about knowing your goodness and making sure that, your actions aren't in alignment with your values, and making sure that somebody else's actions are in alignment with your values. That's again, which is about goodness, saying, that you're good. When you know that you're good, you're mindful of the people that you're going to surround yourself with. Like this person, like I feel like would try to come back into your life as a friend, or again, without having to do the work. And so where Spirit's saying this is the time is about you, taking it one step at a time and just creating your life and not really attaching yourself to this person because they're one-sided and they have the potential to karmically affect your life because, just because they don't want to give you anything doesn't mean they want to see you move ahead and live happily ever after. This person believes that there's something wrong with them. And so that's why they're angry. And angry people don't treat people nicely. So I'm going to leave that there, Virgo. You let me know how you resonated with this one, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.